So German short rows can be used on anything really that you'd use a short row on. In my case I'm thinking about socks, however you might want to use it on shoulders. There's all kinds of projects you can use it on. So German short rows essentially create the shape of the fabric to sort of fit a heel in nicely. So in the pattern you would normally find that the first stitch would be a double stitch. The way that you would make a double stitch is you bring your yarn to the front of the work. Now if you're working on a right side row like I am here, the yarn is usually at the back. However, in this case we're bringing it to the front. We are slipping that stitch purlwise, and then all we do is just hold that yarn, lift it up and over your needle. You see that there? So I'm bringing it up and over, and then I'm knitting across my row. So I'm gonna follow the kind of heel shaping that I usually would use on a German short row heel. So I'm gonna work right to the end. And usually in a sock pattern it would say something like work to one stitch before the end or something like that. In this case we are literally working to the end because we're going to make the double stitch once we've turned the work on that sort of beginning stitch. Okay, so here is my row, and you can see here this is my double stitch. So it looks like two stitches, but it is in fact one, which has just been pulled to the back. Similar to what you would do actually when you were a beginner knitter and you weren't sure whether to hold your yarn at the front or the back, or like how to move your yarn from the front to the back or something like that. You would probably accidentally create these. In this case it's completely intentional and actually kind of genius. So anyway, I'm going to turn my work now, and this is where we're going to be making that double stitch. So now, because we're on a wrong side row, it's a purl row, my yarn is at the front of the work already, so I'm just going to leave it there because we always have the yarn at the front of the row, whether we're working a knit stitch or a purl stitch, it's always at the front. So I'm going to slip that purlwise, and then like I did last time, I'm pulling the stitch to the back. So you can see that there, that's two stitches, I'm pulling that yarn, that's one stitch, sorry, I'm pulling that yarn, and now it's looking like two. Because the next stitch that I'm going to work is a purl stitch, I'm going to bring that yarn round to the front again so that I can continue working across that row. So I'm going to go right to the end and work just up until that initial double stitch that I'd worked. Okay, so I'm knitting right to the end, right up until that double stitch, and you can see it from this side. It's kind of funny, it's actually one stitch but it looks like two. So I'm going to turn my work, and now I'm going to be making a double stitch on this next stitch here on the needle. So remember, your yarn is always at the front of the work when you're about to make a double stitch. So I'm going to slip that stitch purlwise, bring that yarn to the back. Because I'm on a knit row, I'm just going to continue knitting. So I'm going to show you one more time on the wrong side. So I'm just literally knitting right up until that double stitch that we've worked at the end of the row. Okay, so I've just knitted the final stitch, and we've got here our double stitch that we've already worked. We want to make this a double stitch, so we're going to turn the work. Oops. Yeah. Okay, so we're turning the work. See, the yarn is at the front already, so that's good. I'm going to slip that purlwise and then lift that yarn up so it brings that stitch over, bring it to the front because we're about to work a purl stitch, purling along. So I'm going to repeat that process until I've got 10 double stitches on each side to create that shaping. And then once I've done that, I'm going to come back and I'll show you how to work those double stitches, because at some point you're going to have to work through them a bit like if you're doing the wrap and turn method. You've got to pick up those wrap stitches. In this case we knit the double stitch together as one, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so I've just done 10 German short rows on both sides. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And these stitches here are still live, they're still kind of normal knit stitches or whatever. You can see roughly by my work that you've created that shaping, so you can see there's a nice slant here. In fact, on this side you can see even better. So all of the stitches are live, all of the stitches are on the needle still, but we're working short rows and we've created these fabulous double stitches to create this shape here. So what we're going to do now, to work those in a bit like you would with the wrap and turn by sort of picking up the wrap stitch, the equivalent in this situation is you're just going to work across the row. Now all of the double stitches are worked as one, so rather than knitting 20 regular stitches over these 10 double stitches, you're actually just going to be, well, in this case purling 10 as opposed to purling 20. So I go under like I've done here, and I've got both loops, strands of the double stitch on my needle, and I'm purling like purl 2 together. So I'm going to continue doing that across the row. Oops. So going under, got my 2 strands, purling 2 together, kind of. Okay, so I'm going all the way across the row. And that's how you would work it on the wrong side of the work. Now that I've got everything on one needle, you can see the shape that we've created already. It's really cool, isn't it? And so now I'm going to knit across this row and show you how you would work those remaining double stitches on a knit side. Most of the time you are generally working them on a knit side, however, depends on the pattern actually. So I've got my remaining double stitches, and on this side it's literally just like knitting 2 together. So I'm putting my needle through with the 2 strands and knitting it as one, just like you would with a knit 2 together. So making sure that both strands are there as you're going through. Okay, so that is everything you need to know about working a heel. That's the first half of the heel. If you just follow your pattern's instructions, you'll be able to see the second half of the heel. It essentially means going 2/3 of the way across and then working across 1 of the thirds, and then literally going back until you end up right on the final stitch, and then you can just work all of those double stitches again. So yeah, it's a similar process. I can show you an example with my Gorfra socks. So I've used the German short row method on my Gorfra socks. Because of the pattern repeat here, I ended up having to work an extra row on the German short row just to sort of make it work. So they are slightly more visible than they would usually be. However, I think they're so attractive. I'm really pleased with the result. And it's such a simple way of working a heel compared to the wrap and turn method. It's much less fiddly, and it's much more attractive, I find, particularly in cases where you've not had to work the extra row like I have here, and you've just worked the regular row across to sort of work your double stitches. It really does look super seamless. It's incredibly comfortable to wear as well. That's another thing to bear in mind, is that with the wrap and turn method you do get a certain thickness to the fabric, whereas with this, on the inside, it's incredibly soft. It really doesn't feel, there's no sort of extra thickness to the fabric. It just feels like a normal stitch. So yeah, really, really worth trying. Let me know how you get on with it. I'd be really interested to know. And if you do like this sock pattern, then it is a free pattern that's coming to my website very soon. It's the Gorfra socks. And all you need to do is sign up to my email list and I will be sending this sock to you. If you're watching it now, then you have a couple of weeks to wait. However, in the future, then yeah, literally just search for it on my site. It'll be really easy to find. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section below. Otherwise, I really look forward to seeing you soon for my next video. If you're interested in knitting and learning how you can really use clever techniques to make your knitting look even more professional and neat, then certainly subscribe to my channel, because I'm always sharing little nifty tricks like this. See you soon!